the Clara Schumann approached the railway and the Marian bridges, the excitement grew among the fellow passengers on board as the lit buildings in the historic center of Dresden got into sight. Dresden was founded on the site of a Slav fishing village. In the 12th century, the Margraves of Meissen ordered a fortress to be erected on a hill rock near the river bank to protect the much frequented passage across the Elbe. The settlement that evolved around the fortress was incorporated in 1206. Although the town was destroyed by a devastating fire in 1491, Dresden experienced its first heyday under Duke George the Bearded of Saxony soon thereafter. In August 1756, Prussian troops conquered the Saxon capital. In the years that followed, Dresden was besieged several times. Entire suburbs were burnt to the ground in 1805. The French armies marched into defeated Saxony, and the state became an ally of Napoleon's army. The latter visited Dresden several times, winning one of his last battles there in 1813. In the decades after 1850, the city grew at a rapid pace. Industries that were to become typical of Dresden have their origins in that period. Until early in the 20th century, Saxony remained an independent kingdom, but the November Revolution of 1918 forced King Frederick August III to abdicate, and the Free State of Saxony was formed. Soon, however, Saxony would be incorporated into the Third Reich, and Dresden suffered more devastation at the end of World War II than most other German cities. In the 1980s, Dresden became one of the centers of the movement that eventually brought down the Berlin Wall and the Iron Curtain. Currently, efforts are underway to carefully restore the city, which once was known as Florence on the Elbe. Early in the morning on June 16th, we all boarded the tour buses that would drive us around the historic center of Dresden so we could get a feel for the city that would allow us to explore the city center on our own in the afternoon. The German Hygiene Museum conceives itself today as a forum for science, culture, and society. The current home of Dynamo Dresden. The easternmost of the three palatial houses overlooking the River Elbe in Dresden was built between 1859 and 1861. This majestic building stands as the middle of the three Dresden's castles. A neoclassical castle, it was erected in 1854. Following are pictures of older homes in the suburbs around the historic center. Not all the housing in Dresden looks like the older homes presented before. The Plattenbau type construction is very common. Plattenbau is the German word for a building whose structure is constructed of large prefabricated concrete slabs. The tramway system is the backbone of public transportation in Dresden. The Golden Rider, a gilded equestrian statue of Augustus the Strong. An old paddle steamer boat. These boats connect Meissen via Dresden to Saxon Switzerland along the River Elbe, where they pass some remarkable castles, vineyards, and villa quarters. The Augustus Bridge spans the River Elbe in Dresden. Originally built in 1727 and upgraded after it was damaged in 1907, it links the old and new parts of the city. The bridge is located next to the impressive Catholic Cathedral in the old town. The clean walls of the bridge show how high the water rose in the big flood of 2002. Torrential rains caused the Elbe to flood 9 meters above its normal height. The Royal Palace is home to a number of interesting museums. The most famous is the Green Vault, Museum of Treasury Art, one of Europe's most magnificent treasure chambers with some 3,000 pieces. The Museum of Treasury Art is on view in 2 permanent exhibitions in the Royal Palace. Frigate, ivory, gold and iron, Dresden 1620. Kugelauffuhr, brass, silver, rock crystal, Augsburg 1602. The royal household at Delhi on the occasion of the birthday of the Grand Mogul Aurangzeb. This masterpiece of European jewelers' art, which comprises 4,909 diamonds, 160 rubies, 164 emeralds, a sapphire, 16 pearls, and 2 cameos, fascinates visitors today as much as it did back then. The Golden Coffee Set, Dresden 1697-1701. We exited the Green Vault Museum through the inner courtyard of the Royal Palace and had the opportunity to admire its new glass roof spanning over it. The new roof allows for the light to filter in and keeps the elements, like rain and snow, out of the courtyard. You might want to refer to these drawings as you go over the pictures of each of the historic buildings in the area. Dresden's most beautiful square, Theaterplatz, is flanked by the world-famous Semper Opera House, the Zwinger Palace and Gardens, Gallery of the Old Masters, Residential Castle, and the Catholic Church. The centerpiece is a bronze statue of King John on his horse by Johannes Schilling. The Semper Opera is the opera house of the Saxon State Opera Dresden and the concert hall of the Saxon State Orchestra Dresden. It was originally built in 1841 by architect Gottfried Semper. Quadriga with Dionysus, Greek god of the art, and his consort Ariadne. The interior was created by such famous architects of the time as Johannes Schilling. The grand entryway flanked by two columns.
Were very popular here in the end of the 19th century. Some are still famous, some are already forgotten. And then you can see the rich decoration here. These half columns are kind of structuring the room. At the capitals, they have also been decorated with gold leaf.
When we toured the building, the stage was set for the ballet recital, Swan Lake, to take place that evening. Isabel was lucky to get the last ticket available. A full report will be posted later in the travelogue. This is just a taste of what Isabel enjoyed. Isabel's seat was for the first seat in the first row of the middle balcony. The Zwinger is a palace built in Baroque style and is Dresden's most famous landmark, commissioned by Augustus the Strong, Elector of Saxony. The name Zwinger means interspace and originates from its location between former city fortifications. The complex was built between 1710 and 1732 and includes 6 pavilions connected by large galleries. The most impressive pavilions are the Wall Pavilion and the Carillon Pavilion. The main entrance of the Zwinger complex is the Crown Gate at the Ostra Alley, but you can also enter via the Theaterplatz through a passage in the Picture Gallery building. The gate is topped by a large crown decorated with gilded motifs. The statues in the gate's niches represent the 4 seasons. Probably the best known feature of the Zwinger is the Kronentor or Crown Gate, an impressive Baroque gate in the long gallery on the southeast side of the Zwinger. The richly sculptured rampart pavilion or wall pavilion bounding the central courtyard to the northeast is topped by a statue of Hercules. This gate leads you to the palace's gardens and fountain. The almost symmetric carillon pavilion opposite the wall gate was originally named Stad Pavilion, but it was renamed after a carillon was installed between 1924 and 1936. Originally, the Zwinger had only 3 wings. The courtyard opened up towards the Elbe River. After the completion of the Semper Opera House in 1841, Gottfried Semper closed the courtyard by adding a gallery in Renaissance style. Construction of this new wing, now known as the Semper Gallery, started in 1847. The wing is also referred to as the Picture Gallery, as it is home to the Old Masters Gallery, a museum with top-class works from famous artists such as Van Dyck, Vermeer, Rubens, Titian and Raphael. The Schinkelwalke, the building in the front, was built by Berlin architect Karl Friedrich Schinkel between 1830 and 1832. It is a neoclassical building framing the Theaterplatz in Dresden. The building was used as a guardhouse and later as the police headquarters. It has smart columns and a neat design. Today it houses a pleasant cafe and is the box office for the theater. Monument to Karl Maria Friedrich Ernst von Weber, a German composer, conductor, pianist and critic, one of the first significant composers of the Romantic school. Heinrich Schütz was a German composer and organist, generally regarded as the most important German composer before Johann Sebastian Bach. Robert Schumann was a German composer and influential music critic. He is regarded as one of the greatest and most representative composers of the Romantic era. Schumann married pianist Clara Wieck when she was 21 years of age, following a long and acrimonious legal battle with her father, his former teacher, to gain his approval of the match. For centuries, the residential castle, also known as the Royal Palace, served as the seat of government for the Saxon rulers of the Wedding family. The vast palace is located in the heart of historic Dresden and comprises a number of wings and structures that were built over a span of several centuries. We have the Georgian Tor, the Haussmann Tower, the Royal Stables, the Langer Gang, also known as the Long Corridor, covered bridges connecting the different buildings, and the heart of the palace centered around a large inner courtyard known as the Great Court. At the end of the Augustusstrasse and facing the Elbe River stands the Georgian Tor, the first part of the royal palace to be restored after World War II. The sculptural decorations include the equestrian statue of Duke George. Over in front of the monumental Georgian Tor entrance gate. A view of the Augustus Bridge and the tower of the Three Kings Church from the Georgian Tor Gate. The origin of the royal palace goes back to the 13th century, when a fort was built here. The fort was first expanded in the early 15th century, when the Husman Tower was built. The Husman Tower overlooks the whole palace complex, offering a wonderful view of the old town. This covered bridge connects the royal residence with the Catholic Church. Another covered bridge, this one connecting the royal palace to the Taschenberg Palace. This bridge has a romantic story behind it. Well, it connected the royal palace to the Taschenberg Palace, a charitable gift of August the Strong for his mistress Constantina von Kosselt. This picture will help you situate the Taschenberg Palace. The handsome building with a romantic story is now a hotel. To the right of the Jorgen Tor is the heart of the palace, centered around the large inner courtyard known as the Great Court. It is surrounded by magnificent Renaissance facades decorated with sgraffito. One of the many impressive portals. The Jorgen Tor lookout tower and below the procession of Princess mural. In the Augustusstrasse, a 102-meter-long mural decorates the wall. Known as the Procession of Princes, it depicts a parade of rulers of the House of Wedding since 1127. In total, 93 people are portrayed on the mural. The 35 noblemen, princes, dukes, margraves and kings are shown on horseback, while foot soldiers and other people accompany them. The name of each ruler is inscribed below this image. The procession starts with Conrad the Great, who ruled from 1127 to 1156, and ends with Friedrich August III, who ruled between 1904 and 1918 as Saxony's last king. All the people depicted are shown in contemporary clothing styles. The guy in costume calls himself August the Weak, and he's standing just about where the picture of Friedrich August III, also known as August the Strong, is in the mural. August the Strong ruled between 1904 and 1918 as Saxony's last king. One of the four corner towers adorning this beautiful palace. The royal palace from another angle. The gate to the right, where the flags are, is the one that leads you to the Green Vault Museum. The Catholic Church, or the Church of the Court, was built by Saxon ruler Augustus III as a counterweight for the Protestant Frauenkirche. The Baroque church is one of the most beautiful buildings in Dresden. The heart of Augustus the Strong was buried here after completion of the church, while his body was buried in Krakow, Poland. The church was left in ruins after the Allied bombing of Dresden in 1945, and reconstruction only started in 1979. 1 year later, the bishop's seat of Meissen was moved to Dresden, designating the city's Catholic Church as a cathedral. The monumental oval-shaped church features an 83-meter-high belfry, which is harmoniously integrated in the front facade. The spire of the bell tower is designed as a series of stepped-open circular structures, decorated with Corinthian columns. The top is crowned with a copper onion dome. The church is framed with balustrades from which 78 statues of historical and biblical figures look out over the city. Each of these statues is 3 meters or almost 10 feet tall. The cathedral's interior features a magnificent Rococo pulpit by Balthasar Permoser and a carefully restored organ, the last work of the renowned organ builder Gottfried Silbermann. We happened to visit the cathedral just as a choir of girls from Denmark was rehearsing. The Dresden Frauenkirche, literally Church of Our Lady, is a Lutheran church. Built in the 18th century, the church was destroyed in the firebombing of Dresden during World War II. It has been reconstructed as a landmark symbol of reconciliation between former warring enemies. The reconstruction of its exterior was completed in 2004, its interior in 2005, and after 13 years of rebuilding, the church was reconsecrated on 30 October 2005. For almost 50 years, the Frauenkirche, Church of Our Lady, was nothing more than a pile of rubble, the result of a 1945 bombardment. Since its reconstruction in the 1990s, the majestic dome of the Frauenkirche once again dominates the cityscape of Dresden. This is how it looked in September 1994, as the reconstruction effort had just started. A statue of Martin Luther stands tall in front of the Church of Our Lady. What a lovely sight, but this is not how it looked in 1945. A circular nave is surrounded by galleries 4 stories high. The bright white altar, reconstructed in 2000, was originally created in 1733-1739. The Baroque decorations of the altar show the figure of Christ on the Mount of Olives. Above the altar is the church organ, decorated with equally sumptuous Baroque ornamentation. Viewing platform at the top of the dome. From here, visitors can enjoy magnificent views over the inner city and the Elbe River. The New Market, probably the best known square in Dresden's downtown, is being reconstructed gradually, following its former opulent Baroque design. At the northern side of the square is the Dresden Palace of Culture, the mother building in the center, which was completed in 1969 and is an example of Dresden's modern Eastern architecture.
Weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Ja, 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 ja. Weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin.
The Flying Dutchman Fountain, also known as the Geese Thief. The new town hall is a monumental building in neo-Renaissance style with a massive 98-meter-high Baroque tower. The copper dome of the new town hall's tower is topped by a statue known as the Golden Man. It is a 5-meter-high statue of Hercules, created by Richard Gere. Below the dome, at a height of 68 meters, is one of the city's best viewing platforms, with great views of Dresden's historic center. Dresden, August 1949. This is where the Church of Our Lady stood. The lemon squeezer dome of the Academy of Fine Arts, and behind it, on the other side of the Elbe River, the Saxon State Ministry of Finance. In the middle of the picture, the Dresden Palace of Culture, the modern building, at the Altmarkt Square, and behind it, the Royal Palace Complex and the Catholic Cathedral. Details of the handsome facade. Pictures of the glass dome of the main building, colloquially referred to as lemon squeezer, and of Femme or Fema on top of it. The Moritz Monument is the oldest monument in Dresden. The stone monument, 6 meters high and 3 meters wide, at the corner of the Bruls Terrace. The monument on the Bruls Terrace is only a copy, since the original is kept in a museum to prevent further deterioration due to the exposure to the elements. Side view of the Standehaus building facing the Palace Square. Monument to Frederick August the Strong. In 1814, a monumental staircase was built connecting the Palace Square with the terrace. The staircase is flanked by 4 bronze sculptures, each symbolizing one season. From left to right, the Dresden Academy of Fine Arts and its lemon squeezer dome. Then, the Secundogenitor, a beige plastered building in neo-Baroque style, with the green roof, now a coffee shop, and finally the Standehaus. Its spire fits well into the skyline, complementing the nearby tower of the Royal Palace and the spire of the Catholic Church. The only building missing in this panoramic picture is the Albertinum, which is hidden behind the trees in front of the lemon squeezer dome. The Jewish memorial stands in front of the new synagogue. The new synagogue was completed in 2001. It was built on the same location as the Semper Synagogue, 1839-1840, designed by Gottfried Semper, which was destroyed in 1938 during the Kristallnacht. The boundary wall of the new synagogue incorporates the last remaining fragments of Semper's original building. The outer walls of the synagogue are built slightly off-plumb, intended by the architect to convey the feeling that the Jewish community has always been slightly set off from the German city. The Dresden Police Headquarters. The Saxon State Ministry of Finance building. The Saxon State Office building. A look at the Genitze building in daylight. It was constructed in the downtown area near the train station. Genitze boasts a huge glass dome and chimneys disguised as minarets. The name of the company is still emblazoned on the front of the building in big letters. The smallest restaurant, but with great views of the Elbe and the historic center of Dresden. Then, at the end of the long but fascinating day, it was time to relax and enjoy a classical concert by the group Allegria, while Isabel enjoyed the Swan Lake performance at the Semper Opera House. Isabel's seat was on the first row of middle balcony, just below the royal balcony. After the recital, Isabel came back to the Clara Schumann for a bite to eat.